Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a big one, leadership. It's a word that gets thrown around all the time, right? But what we're gonna do is break down what it actually means. Not just to lead, but to really inspire your team to fly. So let's just jump right in.
So, let's start with a question you've probably thought about before. What does it really mean to lead? Seriously, is it just having a fancy title on your business card? Or is it something deeper, something more fundamental? Well, we're about to find out.
And that question, it gets us right to the heart of what I like to call the leadership puzzle. Because for a lot of us, that's what leadership feels like, doesn't it? A puzzle. We know it when we see it for sure, but trying to actually define it, to pin it down with words, that can be tough. And look, this right here, this validates that exact feeling. The source material we're looking at points out that leadership is it's such a broad term that it's genuinely hard to explain. So hey, if you've ever found yourself struggling to put it into words, you are definitely not alone. But don't worry, we are going to start putting those puzzle pieces together right now. So, how do we start solving this thing? Well, we start with the first big piece of the puzzle, the innovation imperative. See, the most effective leaders today, they're not just managers, keeping things running as they are. No way. They're creators. They're driven to innovate and to be the ones lighting the way forward. And this really breaks that process down perfectly. Becoming a leader in your industry, it doesn't just happen by accident. It all starts with taking educated, smart risks. Think of those risks as the fuel. They're what drives innovation. And that innovation, that's what shoots you right to the front of the pack. Okay, but think about it. How do you get a whole team to take those risks with you? How do you take a great idea that's just in your head and make it something everyone is excited about? Well, that brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing, the key that unlocks literally everything else, and that is communication. And there it is. That's the big reveal, the one thing that ties it all together, the vision, the risks, the innovation. It all comes down to communication. And listen, this isn't just some soft skill, it's the engine. It's the thing that actually drives effective leadership. So what's the real difference between just wanting to do something and actually getting results? This definition gives us a really sharp, clear answer. Effective leadership is plain and simple, the ability to communicate clearly and concisely. That's it. It's all about clarity, not making things more complicated. And I mean, the difference here is night and day, right? On one hand, you have vague leadership. That just creates confusion, it makes your team feel kind of lost, like they're adrift at sea. But effective leadership, man, it just cuts right through all that fog. It uses clarity to get everyone on the same page, to create this powerful, shared purpose. Okay, so we've established that communication is the key. But how do leaders actually do it? What does that look like in practice? Well, that brings us to a leader's two main jobs when it comes to communication. Basically, the art of turning a big idea into something real. So it boils down to two core duties. First, you've got to communicate the vision. Your team needs to know where you're all going, and, just as important, why it matters. And second, you've got to inspire them to do the work. And you do that by showing them how their specific job connects to that bigger, meaningful goal. All right, so if you take away just one single thing from our little explainer today, let it be this. At its very heart, effective leadership is all about clear and concise communication. That's the foundation. Everything else we talked about, the innovation, the risk-taking, the success, it's all built right on top of that. So, as we wrap this up, just remember, leadership isn't some title that someone gives you. It's an action. It's something you do. And that action starts with your words. So the real question I want to leave you with is, what vision are you going to communicate?